Now that we've had a chance to sort of using, mixing theory and different techniques, we want to talk about a couple things that kind of add some oomph to your mixes and how we can be more creative and start using DJing as an actual instrument and making, ultimately we're going to end up making your own remixes. So what we're going to look at right now is loops, and looping itself is something that maybe we take for granted and we're sort of familiar with, but I want to sort of look at what is looping and how it sort of came up and just sort of how challenging it would have been using turntables and how easy it is now sort of technically. So we sort of talked a little bit before about DJ Kool Herc and how he invented something called the merry-go-round. And so what he would do is he would buy 2 copies of the same record. And what he would do is, well, first of all, what he did is he noticed that when people were listening to one of his songs and how his audience would react is whenever there was all of a sudden the song would change and go to the breakdown, which is where there's the drum solos or something. That's when people really sort of got into it and really started dancing. And it was frustrating to him because usually the breakdown would be pretty short. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to extend the breakdown so people could keep dancing and really get into it, because that's when the people were hardcore dancing. And that part, the breakdown, playing the breakdown over and over and over again, extended it. And that's when sort of the part where the breakdancing, the b-boys really got into the battles and started the circle would start to open and people would one by one go in there and start showing off their stuff. So how he did this manually was on the first record, isolate the breakdown. And on the second record, which is a copy of the first, also isolate the breakdown. So what he would do on the one record, he would play the breakdown and then switch it over to the other record that repeats the big breakdown. And while that's playing, he would rewind it to the breakdown on the other record. And he would keep going back and forth. And he called this the merry-go-round. And today, this is we know this is looping. So Grandmaster Flash was really known for the loop and really how good he was at transitioning it, going back and forth and perfecting looping the break. So he's credited with perfecting it. So this would be a difficult thing to do. And again, you're doing this back and forth. It's pretty quick, and you're switching the audio from one to another, changing the records, you're listening to it on your headphones. So this took a lot of skill, right? So we want to use loops to sort of repeat the break and something to really get people motivated and dancing and extend that part where people are really pumped up in the song and dancing like they used to use. It's also really useful to have loops when you need some extra time switching from one song to another. So say that you're not quite ready yet, you're trying to find that part in the song to be able to switch to the second one. You need a little bit more time. Well, you can loop it for a little bit just to make that song a little bit longer, so it gives you more time to switch to the second one. So on UDJ, what the benefit is they actually have automatic looping, but I just want to show you sort of what a break sounds like. And I'm going to show you as best as I can on UDJ, kind of how they would have done it in the old school ways. Now I can actually, well, first of all, the song that I'm picking is by the Incredible Bongo Band, and it's called Apache. And we're going to talk about this later on, because this is one of the records that made such a significant impact on the hip hop genre, and it's huge. But I can actually see here where the break actually comes, where the drum solo, because it actually stops and it actually breaks, and then the drum solo comes in. Now, I wish I had one of the James Brown records to sort of show you, because he is known for making that break beat and really getting people pumped up, everybody's dancing, but there's no James Brown on here, original songs that I can show you. So I'm going to show you, this is Apache. So I can actually cue it up here. So I'm going to let you hear what it sounds like. We'll start a little bit earlier so you can hear the difference about when it goes into the break. So this is the break. Okay, So this little section here, when it's that sort of drum solo, that's when people really used to get really into it. So if we were doing manually making our loops, what we want to do is we want to repeat that back and forth. So what I've done is I have the Incredible Bongo Band, I have Apache loaded up here, and I've got it both on the left and the right turntable. So ideally what I can do is I can cue it up at the break. I can do both ones at the break because visually I can see it, which is again a benefit that we have using technology like this as opposed to something that, doing it with turntables. Something that you noticed about this though is the beats per minute are sort of missing. So this one here, the information isn't there. If I had a higher, better, more technical program, better high quality one, if it wasn't there, there's ways that we can figure it out and actually could put that information on there. But because that beats per minute isn't there, I can't change the beats per minute, which means if I wanted to mix Apache with some other songs, it would be really hard for me to do it. It wouldn't sync up. So on better programs you could. So what I would potentially want to do is I would have it, so I have it all queued up on the break. I would let that play. I would start the other one, I would count the phrasing, and then I would switch it over to this one, and then I would wind it back and go to that. So let me show you the best I can. The problem that I'm having with using this program and having to use a mouse as opposed to actually having a mixer in front of me is that I actually have to move this and press the play button at the same time, and I can't do both with a mouse pad. So this is, plus I'm not a good DJ, so anyway, but you'll get the gist of it. Okay, so let's try this. So that's a very bad example, but it's generally how that would work. Okay, so again, you would be using two hands on like a mixer and doing it back and forth, and but that's generally how you get that same part going over and over again. Luckily, with the programs that we have now, and if you had like a mixer and everything like that, it does this automatically for you. On better programs, you can actually hit cue spot, so I could actually cue those so they're ready to go, so I don't have to keep tapping it. But another option is it automatically loops here, and that's why you have a looping thing. So to make this so much easier, so instead of having to load up the same record twice and having to go back and forth, all I have to do is this. It automatically loops it for me. I probably want to bring that up a little bit more, and I probably want to have 32 bars. To the beginning of that loop for me, and it'll keep doing that and doing that until I hit it again. So that's how technology makes this way easier, and that's why you have that looping bar, and that's how potentially you would use looping. So experiment with that. Pick one of your songs and try to see if it's got a drum solo or a particular part that really makes you want to move or dance, and sort of repeat it a couple times and just play around with that.